Great. Hi, everybody. Bill Potajo here. I've got Brian and Burke here. Burke is yet again in another exotic place in the country and on a balcony in Las Vegas somewhere. And I was also actually out of not the country, but out of my normal home environment, and it kind of was the inspiration for the Substack post that we put out Thursday of this week. And it was about gratitude. And so Brian, Burke, and I, we had some things we wanted to share about that. And especially as we, move into the stage of our lives and things like that. So I'll kind of just kick it off by saying I was in a beautiful place. I was actually staring at the Santa Catalina Mountains outside of Tucson, Arizona. The sun was rising, the sun was setting, and I would just watch them in awe. And I had this. I was by myself. No, my family was not around. I had no friends. I was just there by myself. And all of a sudden, I got overwhelmed by this sense of gratitude, but also this sense of the timeline of my life. And so I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So on the flight back to Cleveland, I had plenty of time in an airplane to bang out some ideas. And ultimately, what I kind of came to was the article that came out on Thursday, which was literally about how gratitude changes. We hear about gratitude as something you should practice every day, and but they don't really teach you. Okay, what are you gratified? Brian said, like, when I was younger, I used to be grateful for a latte that was on sale, or a new car or whatever. And it's really changed. And so where I kind of came from and where we're going to talk a little bit about today is that it was the path that I'm grateful for. It's not necessarily the destination. It's not the good points only. It's the tough points, because looking back, every single one of those tough challenges, and like most of us, I had plenty, and at the time it was kind of like, why is this happening to me, or blah 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 blah, whatever. But then when you back at it and you have that vantage point of being in the future, now looking back, it's like, wow, that all made sense. And my mother used to always tell me this, and she still does actually: everything happens for a reason. And I always tell myself that. And this time I was actually looking back, and I was like, yeah, Mom, you're absolutely right. Everything happened for a reason. I had no idea how it was going to end up. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about gratitude at this stage of our lives, and obviously hear from what Brian and Burke have to say about their own journeys. And yeah, and certainly any comments that you can send us either on Substack or on YouTube would be great, because I think it's a really important topic to be talking about. So, Brian, Burke, either one of you want to chime in?
I'll jump in, Bill. And I read your article. I was also on a plane this week, as was Brian, for our other jobs. But maybe it's materialistic. But I was thinking a lot about your article last night. Why am I here? Hopefully, you can see in the background, I'm in Las Vegas. Behind me is the Bellagio and the Sphere. Tara, my significant other, she loves the experiences. And so, although it's somewhat materialistic, last night for my birthday, which was after Christmas, she took me to see the Eagles, and the Eagles is my favorite band. And I was reflecting actually on your article, because the Eagles have been a band for 53 years. So the average
Wow.
age of the attendee last night was much higher than you would expect in the Sphere. Uh, but that's something that once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Glenn Fry has already passed away. His son steps in for him and is actually quite a good vocalist and guitar player. But Joe Walsh is still out there doing it. Don Henley's still out there doing it. Vince Gill has also joined the Eagles, and does a fantastic job. But to your point, kind of the article, and as I told you earlier, Bill, Tara immediately knew that was you who wrote that article. So thank you for that. But
He's a
it's something
writer. He's a writer. He should be the one that
I
writes better.
know. That's why we let him edit
Yeah.
all the ones we write.
Yeah.
But that's something that I'll never probably get another chance to see. Looking at Joe Walsh last night, I don't know how many more shows he's going to do.
Yeah.
But he was out there giving it his all. And I think looking at him was very grateful to still be on stage. And that part of the things you said in the article was gratitude for me now is not that I got a new car or not that I got a bigger house than the people down the street. It said I got up today. I got to go to work. I got to see my significant other. I got to be with you guys on this podcast, and I never thought I would do something like this.
Yeah.
It's a different perspective of gratitude, and that's it was just very well said, and I don't think we acknowledge it enough. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Brian, how about you?
So the component to that is, first off, thank you for joining us early in the morning when you're in a completely different time zone after you had a wonderful late evening. But in this bill, regrettably, is one of those topics where we hit on virtually every single cliche that you've heard almost all the way through your life, right? Mom saying it will pass. You will understand later as you get older. It's all about the journey, all of those things. But they're cliche for a reason. They really are factual. And I've had numerous times, started a little earlier in my life than I thought it would, where that would hit me as I completed something and become extremely emotional to the point of where I couldn't speak. And that was like not supposed to happen, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to get that way. One of the times, in Bill, you'll probably relate to this because you've completed an Ironman. I've completed an Ironman, and you see many people going through that. And it's not, at that point, it's not really even the completion, is it? It's
Mm-mm.
the thinking of those Saturdays where you spent 16 to 18 hours working out
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
And those were the days that you wanted to quit. And you're thinking about every one of those times that you just wanted to quit. And same thing with being entrepreneurial, starting something. Burke, I'm sure you did this when you were starting your businesses, where you're always sitting there saying, everybody's telling me I should give up. I should just give up. But it is now, as we hit this stage, where truly I love just sitting and having coffee and, looking out at, the palm trees, the birds, whatever it might be, watching the sunset when we walk the dogs down to the bay and look over Tampa Bay, whatever it might be, and just recognizing that very fortunate to be here. And it's not about all the other stuff, right?
Yeah. It's funny looking at the mountains. Like I said, I mean, I've been going there for 25 years, and the mountains have not changed. The mountains will be there for another million years, and there's something comforting about that. The fact that I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of the stress that I've had in my life, I put on myself because I want to be a certain way or achieve a certain thing, like a Ironman and things like that. I'm very, very competitive with myself mostly, and and then you kind of look at it like, yeah, but those mountains are still going to be here for my grandchildren. Probably they'll look exactly the same, and there's just something comforting about that in a weird way that I probably would not have had the time to think about in my 30s or 40s, maybe not even my 50s, because I just was so focused on moving forward and getting up and getting better and getting blah 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 that I didn't really enjoy, or not, I shouldn't say I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I didn't appreciate the perspective of looking back, and that's that's kind of what hit me in my.
And I think the controversial part here is that we're not telling you that you shouldn't try to do those things when you're younger.
Yeah.
Where the only thing that we're really speaking about, especially for those of us at our stage in life, is don't be afraid to recognize the hard work that it took to get here.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to recognize even the harder part we were talking right before we got on, is recognizing the people that are helping you get there.
Yep.
That it's not just me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It typically took a number of people, your significant other, et cetera. Right. Burke's holding up to our New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
Bill
trying.
really set us back today with his Substack article.
Hey, yeah.
We need lessons. We need lessons. Someday we'll sit here, Burke, and recognize we've come so far.
Yeah.
We're so much more empathetic to our spouses or our significant others.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I
Hopefully.
think it's actually a lot of it for me is not some magical skill. It's more the age and the milestones that, I'm now looking back at that sometimes completely freak me out. Like, oh my gosh, I'm really, I'm really past midlife or whatever.
What is midlife? Hey, Bill, what is midlife today? I mean, they're telling us now, those people, whoever they are saying we might live to 120. Maybe we are midlife.
I am midlife. I'm going to go with that. But hopefully I've got longevity. I do have it on my mom's side and a little bit on my dad's. So I hope to be around for a while. But I think instead of being scared by it, I think what was different, and you kind of were mentioning it, Brian, a little bit about, like, at the end, whenever that comes, whether it's later today or in 60 more years, I don't want to have regrets, and regrets are often based in something like I should have done, or I would have done better, or whatever. And what I'm trying to kind of figure out is, sometimes you do the best you can, and with what you have at that particular point in your life. And so if you do that, try not to have regrets about it, because you may not even see how that manifested itself. Would you look as possibly a bad event or a struggle that you had, how it might manifest in one of your kids in a positive way, or in your own life later on. And so I spent a lot of my life beating myself up for not being the absolute perfect fill in the blank. And so I think that's kind of the message that I came back from. Like, you know what, at the end of the day, the mountains don't change. The sun still rises and sets. And like you watching the birds in the palm tree, I was amazed at watching ants, crawl across, the sand trail going toward a big saguaro. I was just like, wow, and so, yeah.
I think
Bert, how about-
that's actually a great ending right there. Leave it right there on that point.
Yeah, it is a miracle, everything. And so, Burke, I know you're very early in your day. I'm so happy you got to have that life-changing experience that you're grateful for, and an amazing partner to arrange it all. Brian, thank you as well, as as kind of the spearhead of this group and getting us all started on this. I think every week when we do one of these, I learn a little bit more too. So it's not just about preaching and talking about what's right and wrong. This is really a learning journey that I'm on myself. So
all of us,
yeah,
correct?
all
Absolutely.
of us are. So
Absolutely.
So please send us your comments, forward on to anybody else that you think would benefit from this too. And we will try to repost our Substack article from Thursday. Again, I'll restack it, so maybe if you want to go find us on the Comeback Cast at Substack, you can also read that too.
It'll be on
All
LinkedIn
right.
as well.
And LinkedIn. Thank you, Burke.
Yep.
So with that, guys, a great rest of your day. We will see you next week, same time. And we look forward to having a great week. Take care, everybody.